Okay, so we got some bad news for Tesla. Unfortunately, Jim Cramer now likes Tesla. Yes, I know. Cramer is the worst indicator in the planet. It's the kiss of death. Jim Cramer went on CNBC, actually said he likes Tesla better than Ford, which means I have to say goodbye, everybody. This was a nice ride for Tesla shares. We'll see you at $80 per share. I don't know. I'm just kidding. Let's move on to more serious news. Talking about Tesla, Ross Gerber is actually advocating for a seat on the board of directors of Tesla. Now, I don't know how I feel about it. On the one hand, he obviously knows what he's doing. He's been a professional money manager for a while. He's a huge Tesla bull. On the other hand, he had some very questionable takes for the past 2 years. Some of them don't even have to do with Tesla. Some of them have to do with Tesla, and they were really strange. I mean, I don't know if I like him on the board or not. My take on this is very simple. Whether you like Ross or don't like Ross, I think that professional money managers should not be on the board of directors of any company. A board of directors should be professional, actual people from the industry. People who have managed companies, people who have production experience, people from the auto industry, from the robotics industry, whatever that may be. Professional fund managers in the board of directors of actual companies seems a little bit off to me because there's by definition a conflict of interest. I mean, Ross Gerber is trying to make money for his clients. Tesla has a far-reaching goal, which is much greater than making money for its investors in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So I think just for that reason alone, I don't think Ross Gerber should be on the board. But again, comment below. Let me know what you think. I want to make a little poll in the comment section. Let me know in the comment section which one of these 3 options you like better. Ross Gerber on the board, Ross Gerber not on the board, or Grandpa on the board. Comment below and let me know. Now, let's move on to a little bit of a more serious news. Toyota, as you know, they just parted ways or about to part ways with Toyota, with a D, who was the CEO for the past 13 years. He's part of the family, the Toyota family. Now, I said it before and I called it. When they announced this change, I said a few weeks ago, this means that they're going finally to change their position on electric vehicles. Now, as you know, Toyota traditionally was always against the EV revolution. They said that this is a phase, it's a fleeting thing, it's not serious, and all that good stuff. Now, finally, I think they're starting to realize this was a huge policy mistake. But luckily for them, they're currently and have been for a while the best, biggest auto manufacturer in the world. So they can afford to make a few mistakes. They're not in a do-do situation like Ford and GM. I mean, they make and sell about 10 million cars per year. So if anybody can afford to make such a huge policy mistake, it's Toyota. Now, they have appointed a young guy, a 53-year-old guy, to replace Toyota. And I think he's going to get it done. At least he's going to try to. We've seen it work with VW, who is a legacy automaker with all the problems that it brings. And they actually shifted into the EV sector. And for some weird reason, they got rid of Herbert Diess, who's the guy responsible for that shift, which was a peculiar move. But that's neither here or there. I think Toyota will be excellent at EVs eventually. Everything Toyota does, they do perfectionally. I don't know if you can say perfectionally. Is this actually a word? Comment below, let me know. I'm assuming the answer is no. But Toyota is excellent. They make great cars. They're a prolific auto manufacturer. The only problem is that they've started late. Based on their announcement, basically it's going to take them 3 years to start putting out EVs, and it's only going to start with the high-end stuff. Lexus is going to get it first, and then by the time we actually see full electric vehicles for Toyota in the Toyota brand, probably 4 to 5 to 6 years. By that time, Tesla is going to be a behemoth. But, as I said before, number one, Toyota can make excellent cars. They have the resources, the money to do it. And number two, they have such a great position in the market that they can afford to make that mistake and still be in the ballgame. Will they still be number one once they're actually in the EV industry? With Tesla actually having such a huge four to start before Toyota, I don't know. But even if they're number 2 or number 3 in the industry by that time, it's still going to be good enough for them to continue to stay alive. Something I can't with a full 100% certainty to say about Ford and GM. I don't know about Ford and GM, but Toyota will be okay. Now, moving on to something a little bit slightly different, Morgan Stanley issued a warning basically saying that the market, the stock market in the United States, is currently ignoring one simple fact. The Fed has raised rates to about 5%, give or take, and all indications show that there's going to be more rate hikes. In fact, that's literally what John Powell said. And basically, Morgan Stanley came out and said, well, look, the stock market is completely ignoring this. Everything is priced in as if the Fed is just on the verge of pivoting. And that's not the case. Now, I said it before and I will say it again. this is either an insanely incredible money making opportunity. If the Fed pivots, everybody who bet on that will make a lot of money, but it's a potential disaster. If in fact Jerome Powell and the Federal Reserve are not bluffing and we're about to head into another very restrictive policy year for 2023, maybe even parts of 2024, this stock market is not priced for that. It's going to be a huge decline and a lot of people will lose a lot of money. That's essentially what Morgan Stanley is saying. Now, I've posted on my Patreon page an article and the link is below to join. It's $5 per month. You remember how I said don't click anything? Well, except my Patreon page. It's $5 per month and you get to subscribe to my newsletter and participate in my Zoom meetings. Now, basically on my Patreon, I put out a whole article saying, well, these are the indicators. This is what's going on with the job market. Yes, it's hot, but there's other indicators. The yield curve we have to take a look at. We have to look at a lot of different elements that actually point out that this is a lot clearer than what it might seem at first glance. At first glance, it seems like it's a very mixed kind of messages, macroeconomical situation. The job market is great. On the other hand, inflation is down heavy, unemployment, etc., etc. But if you actually dive deeper, you can see that the trend is very uniform and we're headed into a very specific direction. Again, this article, as well as all my other exclusive stuff, are on my Patreon. I don't have stock picks there, but I do have, I think, interesting articles. So I'd love it for you to check it out. Now, moving on. Let's talk about the Super Bowl. Obviously, we have to talk about it just for 30 seconds. I know all of you are obviously super excited about the Super Bowl, but for the 5% who don't give a rat's ass about the Super Bowl, I'm going to make it quick. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm just kidding. I had to do it for Jim Cramer. So Jim Cramer went all out on the Eagles, and as you know, that didn't really pan out. Kansas City Chiefs actually won without Patrick Mahomes being great. I mean, he had a very lukewarm game. Seems like an injury. A lot of people saying he faked the injury, whatever that may be. At the end of the day, it's very hard to bet against Mahomes and the Chiefs. They've done it before. They've done it, obviously, again. My only complaint about the game was terrific. The show was terrific. Everything was great. High-scoring game, a lot of action. The final call of the game was questionable. To give a holding call on the final play of the game that's going to decide the Super Bowl on something that's so marginal, so borderline, it's like deciding a Game 7 last second shot based on a foul that somebody touched by his finger the other player, like that. I don't know if I want to see a Super Bowl decided based on a referee call on something that's absolutely very gray area. That's all I got to say about it, but congratulations for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Dan O'Dowd, one of the biggest haters of Tesla, apparently spent $7 million yesterday for a 30-second ad bashing Tesla, basically showing off how Tesla FSD is running over children and strollers, what that not might be. I don't know. It's an absolutely horror show of a commercial, but it aired and he did spend $7 million. Now, he already spent millions before. If you remember, he put out an ad, full-page ad in the New York Times, basically bashing Tesla before. He's in the hole for a lot of money bashing Tesla. Now, what Dan O'Dowd should be actually more vocalizing is the fact that he's a direct competitor of Tesla. It seems that he also makes systems that actually, integrate with the driver assist. And he seems to be a direct competitor of Tesla. And for me, it's a bad look. Whether he's right or wrong, and we're going to talk about the methodology of these tests that he showed in a second. Whether it's right or wrong, when I see somebody just bashing their competitor all the time and not talking about their own product, it just shows me that your product is not good enough. Why are you even dealing with the competition? Talk about your stuff. You're spending millions on the campaign against your competitor. Spend millions on campaign to show off your stuff if they're that good. The other part is I have a problem with him showing these tests without seeing the methodology, without seeing actual proof, without seeing any statistics. How many cars have FSD hit strollers or kids over the past year, 2, 5, I don't know. I mean, where's the data? He didn't show any data. It's very graphic and absolutely tabloidy. I didn't like that stuff at all. And it's a horrible way to spend $7 million, Mr. O'Dowd, but that's just my opinion. Might be inaccurate, might be wrong, might be the ramblings of a madman. Just a guy on the internet. Now, I want to talk just for a second. There was a Twitter post by Kevin O'Leary basically saying that, shouldn't care about your dog, your wife, your kids, nothing, just money, 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 money. I'm going to put the Twitter thing on the screen right now. I'm just going to say it's a very sad take. I think it's a lot of copium for him. Maybe that's something that more to say about his life. Maybe it's a cry for help. Maybe it's a publicity stunt. Him saying something absolutely ridiculous, just trying to get attention. I don't know what it is. If he's serious about it, it's one of the saddest things I ever read. And as a father and as a husband and as a member of my community, I can tell you just whatever you hear that tweet. You can hear a tweet. Whatever you read in that tweet, If you're a young man, just do the opposite. Palantir earnings coming out today. Now, they've decided to put it out not at the start of the day, but at the end of the day, which is smart because every time they did it at 8, 9, it crashed the stock price through that day insanely. So they're actually trying to minimize the damages. So to me, it seems like they know it ain't going to be good, and that's why they're putting it at the end of the day. Just an assumption. I don't know if it's true or not. What I'm going to be looking at Palantir stock, obviously I'm still invested in the stock, is profitability, is growth rate. Are they anywhere close to 30%, 35% growth rate annually? I'm going to be looking at what's going on at the acceleration of the commercial business. What's going on with the stock-based compensation? Is it declining further? What's going on with basically the stuff that have been a problem for Palantir for the past year, which is profitability, stock-based comp, and growth rate. We want to see an improvement in these areas. Again, not very optimistic given what we've seen in the past few months, in the past year or so, but we'll see what happens. I'm not trying to put everything on Palantir for this one earnings call. We'll see what happens. Now, let's talk for a second about one more thing, the balloon thing. We have to talk about it because this is absolutely insane. So apparently there's another balloon or UFO, whatever. I mean, some are saying that it's an alien. The fact is we have a U.S. military official not denying that this is an extraterrestrial alien. Was ridiculous to me. We're really running out of enemies at this point if we're actually going for aliens. It seems like a Chinese balloon at this point. Look, it's 4 balloons in 8 days at this point. Is it a spin? What's going on here? Is this U.S. trying to draw attention from other stuff? I don't know. I'm not a balloon expert. I'm not a military expert. I'm not an aerial expert. I know none of this stuff. The only thing I know is that I do not want to die in a World War III situation that started over balloons. I've had enough with COVID. I had enough with the Ukraine war. I definitely am not looking forward to World War III over a freaking balloon war between US and China.